Good morning, you magnificent melonheads. Today is Tuesday, February 7th, 2023, and markets right now are pretty much flat. Stocks down just a very little bit. Everybody is holding their breath, waiting for Jerome Powell's interview with David Rubenstein of the DC Economic Club that is expected at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time today. And a lot of people are saying this could be, emphasis could be, another Jackson Hole moment, referencing that Jackson Hole symposium that happened in August where Jerome Powell basically said, hey, stock market, you guys are running a little too hot and heavy right now. Bad, hawkish Jerome Powell, stocks go down. That's what happened back in August. It was pretty much the end of that bear market rally. A lot of people think that might be what's going to happen today because stocks have really rallied pretty hard ever since Jerome Powell's press conference on Wednesday last week. And then, of course, following that roaring jobs number on Friday. So it's possible that Powell may come in and repeat Jackson Hole and just say, hey, markets, you're taking this pivot story a little bit too seriously here. And look, regardless of what Powell says, my position has always been that stock markets and asset prices, they don't find a bottom while the Fed is still tightening. If you go back through all the previous tightening cycles, even after Powell stopped with his tightening, several months after, several years after, in some cases, asset prices didn't actually find a bottom until much later. So even if Powell is about to pivot, that does not mean the bottom is in. That means the bottom still comes later. So I don't follow the day-to-day as closely. I still think the long-term trend is down. There's others who disagree with me. A lot of people are out there saying melt up, that stocks are going to rally. We're going to go on to all new all-time highs, soft landing. I don't look at the world with those rose-colored glasses, so sue me. But that is what the big story is going to be today, and everybody is going to be watching that. And with that, we are going to shrink my big melon of a head, and let's see what's going on in markets right now. The S&P is down 10 points, or a quarter of 1%, essentially nothing. We got the Dow Jones is down 136. That's a little worse than it was pre-market, down about 0.4%. And the Nasdaq's actually in positive territory, up about 3 points, pretty much flat for the day. So we even did get a little bit of green there, but the rest of the market is down. The DXY right now is at 103.79, up 17 basis points this morning. Again, the dollar is another one of those. It's just had a rip and rally ever since Powell's press conference, so we'll see if that continues. We were down at 101 a few days ago, now at 103, threatening to push 104. Over in the bond market, things are looking a little mixed right now. We've got the short end of the curve. We're up a couple of basis points. The 6-month Treasury is up 6 basis points. That is the highlight today. Then we've got in the middle, we've got the 2-year and the 3 years down just a tick. We got down 1 basis point on the 3-year. And then the very long end of the curve, we've got up about 1, maybe 2 basis points across that. So not a heck of a lot of movement going on in the bond market at the moment. Again, markets holding their breath this morning. Over in the commodity space, we got gold is up $2, a 0.13% at $18.82. Silver still below $23 at $22.28, down about a nickel. Up a nickel this morning, or about 0.2%. Crude oil at $74.99, up about 86 cents or 1.16%. And natural gas, look at that, a green number for natural gas this morning at $2.49, up about 3 cents or 1.34%. So things are looking a little better for the energy commodities this morning. Let's get into some of the other stories going on out there. Neil Kashkari, a.k.a. Lex Luthor with his beady eyes, he says the central banks haven't made enough progress and that they need to keep raising rates. And Kashkari, he's one of those ones like Brainerd. I tend to take him less seriously than some of the other Fed governors because he's always tends to be on the fringe of whatever policy is in vogue at the time. But right now he's saying the Fed needs to raise the Fed funds rate to 5.4% before they pause, which would be 4 additional rate hikes from where we currently are at. That is way more than the market is currently pricing in. So we've got a hawkish Neil Kashkari this morning. Now, is this the typical parade of the Fed where they send out one guy to be a hawk and then maybe Powell comes out as a dove at noon? That's one possibility, but this is worth mentioning that this is also going on this morning. Bed Bath & Beyond, this was a big story. That stock was up over 90%. It was up 92% yesterday. That thing was just ripping. The apes have been trying to engineer a short squeeze in this one, and it looked like it was working right up until the bell closed, and then they're getting diluted. Bed Bath & Beyond announced that they are going to raise $1 billion with the issuance of new shares. And there goes basically all the rally in the stock price all at once. Currently down 38.9% at 358. It's still above where it was at the open yesterday, but basically giving up all of those gains from yesterday. This one, even if they are successful in raising $1 billion, Bed Bath & Beyond, the business model is fundamentally flawed. We're heading into a housing downturn. Really, all they're doing here is buying themselves time. I still think long-term the prospects for this company are pretty dim. Elsewhere, we have got Binance this morning has announced that they will suspend all U.S. dollar deposits and withdrawals after Signature Bank had raised transaction minimums for U.S. dollar transfers. Now, this one's kind of interesting because this is just Binance proper, if you will, or Binance regular. Binance U.S. is not affected by this. This is only U.S. dollar transfers on the main Binance site. So I'm not really sure what's going on with this one. Look, folks, I would not get my money within 1,000 yards of anything that has ever been touched by Changpeng Zhou. I just don't trust the guy. I don't trust this outfit. They are shady as all get out. And it does not surprise me that no bank will do business with these people, and that's why they're having to halt their USD transfers. This is the 1,115,132nd reminder to get your coins off the exchange. Do not leave your Bitcoin or any of your other coins on any centralized exchange. If so, you are nothing more than an unsecured creditor. Do not trust these people. The layoffs continue this morning. This is in the Economic Times. Boeing says it will lay off about 2,000 white-collar employees in finance and HR. So here we go, another anecdote about layoffs happening. This one's not such a big deal because Boeing had previously announced that they were actually going to scale up their hiring. They announced several thousand new hires for 2023. But in this case, this is the white-collar guys they're laying off. They're laying off a lot of their finance people, a lot of their HR people, and they also announced that there were plans to outsource those jobs to India. So while this is significant, it is 2,000 people, it is more layoffs, and it's another in a sea of layoffs happening. I guess the net result of this one, not quite as bad as some of the other ones, although if you're one of the people getting laid off, that's little comfort to you, I'm sure. Elsewhere, Briggs & Stratton, the maker of those tiny engines that are in just about everything, they are announcing a layoff of 160 workers in Milwaukee. Not a huge number, but I felt the need to mention this story because Briggs & Stratton, those little engines, they're on everything from motorcycles to lawnmowers to wood chippers. I mean, all those small little engines that are in little home generators all over the place, right? So if Briggs & Stratton is laying off people and reducing some of their production, that could signal widespread weakness elsewhere in the economy. So keep an eye on that one. Again, another story about layoffs. And here's another layoff story. Take-Two is planning layoffs as part of a $50 million cost reduction program. Now, this article was very scant on details. Take-Two did not say how many jobs would be affected. They just said this is part of a $50 million cost reduction program that will include personnel. So we'll probably get more details on that in their conference call that is coming up. So, again, the story, layoffs, folks. They are continuing this strong jobs market that we're going to hear all about in the State of the Union tonight. If you can stomach to watch the State of the Union, I would just love to watch the State of the Union, but I have something really boring to do, so I just won't be able to find the time. Anyways, moving on from that one, check out this story. FTX, I got such a kick out of this. Now, this was not the funny story. This isn't what had me laughing. FTX said yesterday that they want back the $93 million in political donations that they made. By the way, when did that quietly go from $40 million to $93 million? They doubled that number in the last few weeks and never mentioned anything. I was kind of surprised by that. But it turns out 1 in 3 of the leeches in Congress had taken money from FTX, from Sam Bankman-Fried over the years. And of course, bankruptcy court wants it back. They're threatening to claw back this money. And lo and behold, as soon as that gets announced, this story hits the airwaves today. U.S. government says FTX's new CEO needs oversight. Totally unrelated news here, folks. I'm sure this has nothing to do with yesterday FTX saying, hey, Congress, you got to give us the money back. And now Congress says, we need oversight of this new guy at FTX. I'm sure those two stories are totally unrelated, and Congress would never use the power that the voters have trusted them with to further their own ends, right? That would never happen. I mean, it's the 2020s. We must trust, right? We must trust our elected officials, folks. All right. Anyways, I really got a kick out of that story. And I just want to say thank you very much to Mike Bennett from Robin RC Models, who says, good morning, Jack. Up only until something breaks for real. I don't know if something is going to break today or not. We'll see what Powell does at 12:40, Mike. He would have to come out pretty hawkish. He'd have to be pretty hawkish at 12:40. That is Eastern time in order to really move markets. This market is dead set on heading higher, and I don't know that anything, even Powell running his mouth, will be able to talk them down. And I also saw my man Steve Woitis is there. He says the only pivot I think is coming are stock market levels. I just don't think the pivot matters as much. I think we're already past the point where the Fed put and, the Fed's going to support markets. I think it's irrelevant at this point. I think they've already done the damage. The layoffs that are heading down the pipe, all the manufacturing numbers, all the economic data, it's already showing we are going to be almost as bad as 2009, 2008. And that is the base case. If things continue getting worse, we'll be worse than 2008 and 2009. So I don't think it matters anymore what the Fed does. And I think this is just old habits dying hard with these Wall Street types where Jerome Powell, the elevation of his big furry eyebrows when he says certain words, that determines markets. I think that doesn't matter anymore. I could be wrong about that one, but I see the big R word, the recession, possibly the D word, depression, being what drives markets, not what will the Fed do. Thank you, Steve, very much, sir, for the super chat and support of the channel. You guys are trying to keep me going today. Grandpa here says, does the MACD indicate that Biden... I can't read that, Grandpa. You're going to get me shadow banned. Will blank himself live on the mic tonight. I don't know, but I would love to see the subtitles if that happens. I would love to see it. Yeah, I'm not going to watch the State of the Union. I'm sorry. I just have no interest in that. It would be fun to see which side of the stage he exits. Is he able to walk away from the podium? That's a difficult task for that guy. First you got to get past all the invisible people trying to shake your hand, and then you can get off the stage. So we'll see. Also, I'm wondering, is Speaker McCarthy going to tear up his speech when he's done talking? I don't know. I saw a preview of that speech. That was some pretty big font. That was a lot of paper there. And Peter Frowen says, Jack, how are our rice and bean stocks doing? My rice and beans are doing very well. Best performing asset class of 2022. I am living pretty. I am well provisioned for the end of days over here at the Gamble household. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Mike and Steve. Appreciate the support of the channel, the Super Chats, guys. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome for all you do for the channel. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow on our Zoom call. Link down below, should you feel so inclined. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I love you guys. And until next time, live small and dream big.